Right. We're going to turn it over to Father Les Schmidt.
Let me put it in context. I was ordained in '61 with the Glenmary Home Missioners, and I came to the region called Appalachia with the first group that I connected with was the Council of the Southern Mountains in Berea, Kentucky. It was headed up by a very open evangelical peace pastor, and they were looking for somebody to work with them. So I connected, and they allowed me to go all over the country. Remember, at that time in history, it was Vietnam, the whole thing on peace and the possibility of tomorrow. And so I would go wherever they sent me. I might be in Long Island, I might be in Cincinnati, wherever they sent me, and that's where I would go. Because the whole thing was, we've got to stand up for peace. But then the next thing that unfolded was the CORA, Commission on Religion in Appalachia, out of Knoxville, Tennessee, where the coordinator came down from New York City, very open, very ecumenical, but the key people were women, especially former Glenmary sisters. They were absolutely wonderful. And what unfolded on that, the sisters really wanted to be open to everyone. And so what happened, the group moved from a very closed group where it was the person from New York City to the other Protestant ministers. The Catholic caucus became so strong, they became a threat to the group within the ecumenical group. And so it was the women who made the change, made the difference. They then moved from just within CORA, Commission on Religion in Appalachia, to a caucus, the Catholic Committee of Appalachia, moving outside. The bishops really approved this because it was like their money coming from CHD would not go to these outside Protestant groups, but would go directly to the Catholic groups, which they felt was very positive. And so in terms of that first gathering, the CCA moved from being a part of CORA, Commission on Religion in Appalachia, to its own independent entity, 501c3. Then what happened, I was on a meeting up in Bethany College, up near Wheeling, bringing somebody from the Black Lung to get tested. And I was in the back of the room of that gathering because, see, when they go through these testings, it takes hours upon hours upon hours. And so it was the women who made all of this possible. But at that meeting in Bethany, it was the men, all laymen. There was Pat Ronan out of Southwest Virginia. It was John Klug out of Wheeling, Charleston. It was the guy out of the USCCB. They all made the decision, and they said, well, Les is just hanging out. He's not doing anything. Why can't he go ahead and coordinate this? And so I had just brought this guy up from Black Lung, sitting back at the meeting, and of course I hung out a lot. I was all over the place. So I said, sure, I'll do it. So I immediately went to Wheeling College, which at that stage was the place to go. And they said, no, we can't help you, but they sent me to Center for Concern in Washington, D.C. And who did they send me to? Joe Holland. Well, not really. Bill Ryan and Pete Henrio. But there was this underlying guy called Joe Holland. And so what I checked in with them, and they said, we're on overload, but look, what about this guy called Joe Holland? Well, so I checked in with Joe, and Joe was wonderful. It was, I don't know how to say it, but I started off with encouraging him to listen to the people, and he was right on board. But I checked in terms of, look, we can't just do it with peopleese, the doctrinaire stuff that comes down from the Pope. But there was this Dutch priest who really put it in people language, and it was marvelous. He just picked up on that, and his first draft of the possibility of the Pastoral, I dropped in the wastebasket, and he didn't even wince a moment. He went right back upstairs and started. And I said, Joe, look, we got to do it. It's got to be the music. It's got to be, where the people are coming from the region. He agreed totally. And he right away moved. Then he came, and Beth Davies and he listened. What happened, I was at a meeting in Bethany College, just outside of Wheeling, when there were, it was not the women now, but the women made it all possible. I cannot say enough about the women who made it all possible. But at that meeting in Bethany College, it was 3 men. There was John Klug, who was from the Wheeling Charleston. There was Pat Ronan, Southwest Virginia. There was Steve Bossy from EC. He was the guy from Rural Life. And they said, well, he's not doing it. He just hangs out. He doesn't do shit. So he can do this. And so I agreed. I said, yeah, I'll do it. So in terms of where I went then immediately to college, but they said, we don't have anybody available. We're on overload. But they sent me to Center of Concern. And there was Bill Ryan, Pete Henrio, and they both said, no way. But then they said, this guy, new guy, Joe Holland, he's a fellow here, go with him. So I did, and Joe said, hey, I'm with you. We go from there.
Wow. Thanks, Les, for sharing.